Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever in the world you are. Tonight, I would like to discuss the issue of the recent statement by Bishop Nehemiah Mutendi of Zionist Christian Church of Zimbabwe. During his visit to Rwanda, at the Berlin South, he was calling for peace ahead of the 2023 elections. And in it, he was talking of the 1984 unit accord between Zanu PF and PF-Zapu as having brought peace, unity, and development to Zimbabwe. Now, this is propaganda. This is Zanu PF propaganda, completely divorced from the historic facts. The 1987 unit accord between PF-Zapu and Zanu PF did not bring peace, unity, and development in Zimbabwe. That should be made very clear, abundantly clear, and should be abundantly clear to anyone who is serious about studying the history of Zimbabwe. And for somebody to be distorting historic facts or confusing historic facts with Zanu PF propaganda and preaching the propaganda from a church pulpit is totally unacceptable. In 1983, the Zanu PF launched the Gukurahundi operations, which has turned out to be one of the darkest periods in Zimbabwe's post-independence history. The primary purpose of Gukurahundi was to coerce PF-Zapu to give up their right to exist as a political party. There's no doubt, there's no denying that PF-Zapu was the main challenger to Zanu PF post-1980. There's no denying, no one can honestly deny that. They had the right to exist as a political party and to challenge for for public office in free, fair, and credible elections. Zanu PF, Robert Mugabe and Zanu PF did not want that. And the Gukurahundi was designed to coerce PF-Zapu and its leadership to give up the party. And so we ended up with 1984, 1983 to 1987, period of coercion, beatings, terror, harassment, rape, and hundreds of thousands of people, mainly PF supporters and leaders, were the victims of that reign of terror. And over 20,000 by 1987, over 20,000 innocent, defenseless civilians had been murdered in cold blood. That's why it's called the Gukurahundi massacre. And I emphasize, the primary purpose was to coerce the late Dr. Joshua Nkomo and his fellow PF-Zapu leaders to give up PF-Zapu as a political party, as a main challenger to Zanu PF school. And so they did. They signed the Unity Accord in 1984 as an act of capitulation. And that cleared the way for Mugabe to impose the de facto one party, Zanu PF dictatorship that has ruled the country to this day. We are facing elections in this year, 2023, 43 years after independence. Zanu PF is set to rig the 2023 elections just as it had rigged past elections. And to be certain of a landslide victory, Zanu PF is prepared to use violence, wanton violence. We've already had so many cases of Zanu PF using violence, with the state institutions like the police turning a blind eye to it, and in some cases helping the perpetrators of violence. So for Bishop Mutendi to be praying for peace, sitting next to a Zanu PF leader, is laughable. He knows that it is Zanu PF that is behind the violence, that is behind the rigging. To be praying as if Zanu PF is the peacemaker is laughable. It's ridiculous. We've been fighting for democratic reforms to be implemented so that the country can finally have free, fair, and credible elections. It is a shame. Every Zimbabwean with half a brain nowadays should be ashamed that the country is now 43 years after independence and we are still failing to hold free, fair, and credible elections. We are failing to give that fundamental right to our own people. And the church, which should be standing by the oppressed, is turning a blind eye to the reality on the ground and siding with the oppressors. It is no secret that Bishop Nehemiah Mutendi is one of the church leaders who have benefited from Zanu PF's decades of tyrannical rule. People like him have received farms, some of them in the name of the church, but in many cases, the church becomes the individual. He has received generous bank loans, and like many people who have received bank loans from the regime, they've never repaid them, or repaid only a fraction of them. This has got to stop. This is ridiculous. We can't carry on like this. We want the church to stand by the oppressed. That is what the church should do. And we are not going to accept the present situation where the church is siding with the oppressors. Thank you very much and good night.